Hey everybody, as you can see, the word cryptography, it's quite complicated, right? I'm the nerd of the company. I used to work at Facebook, many big companies in my past, also biometrics in the airports, protecting everybody's assets. I was the one who also worked on the proof of solvency of some of the biggest exchanges. If you have money on Binance, Bybit, all of the other exchanges in the world. This is my job. Even Mark Zuckerberg back at Facebook assigned me to do all of the things required for cryptography to protect the users. And here is something else that we're doing lately, which also includes mathematics, which has to do with AI. As you can understand, we cannot live in an AI world where these do not go hand in hand, right? I mean, one of them is like competing with each other, but at the same time, they can also work together. So the whole idea is some of you might have thought about blockchains as being independently or you're only doing trading, but at the same time, we can use AI to improve blockchains. Many of my students, I'm also an academic as well. I'm now in Dubai, I live in there, and I used to be in Silicon Valley for many years. Even Stanford, Berkeley, I used to have students across the world. You can use AI to actually make the blockchains faster. You can also use them to make the blockchains a lot safer. Imagine AI now can teach you how to write code or protect your code. At the same time, you can also use blockchains to improve AI. Can you imagine of a few things, right? What do we do now with sharing our data here and there? There should be a common database eventually where all of our data, we will know as users where our data is moving from the hospital or from our identity or even from our financial transactions or even social networks. You've heard Christian before mentioning even the big guys are coming gradually into the space. Facebook tried. Obviously, for many reasons, because we were during COVID, it was very difficult to issue a new, like blockchain, a new basket of cryptocurrencies. But now it's happening, right? And at the same time, many of you might be able to actually use AI to make agents that they can make money from the blockchain. It's super easy at the moment. In my opinion, I used to be an AI developer as well. I was hacked, actually. And it was the reason that I moved into cryptography back in 2004. These are some of the things that you can do with the blockchain, right? So news misinformation. It's going to come again and again. And the only way we have to have reputable entities that are providing the news for everybody is through the blockchain and some decentralized identities. Otherwise, it's impossible. You go to CNN, you go to different places. These guys do have a Twitter account, they have a LinkedIn account, and eventually you cannot connect the dots. It's super complicated. And there is no global database where you can see, oh, some news came from Italy, and then from Turkey, and then they came from United Arab Emirates, and then from the United States. How do you know how to connect them, right? So eventually you will need some cryptography to verify that this came from a human or something else came from a robot. And this is super important to figure out, okay, do we have the technology now to do it? OpenAI, Gemini, Llama, everybody doesn't offer you a digital signature that this is an output of AI. Someone can very easily confuse you that this is a real journalist or it's an AI outcome. And how do you know the outcome of the AI? What was the data that was used to train it? At the same time, private sharing of data. I can imagine the hospitals of the future to be able to use a global database, to be able to share your x-rays, your medical conditions, even if you're traveling to a different country. Many local entities, even I know, for example, some European countries, they're using some coalitions internally for the hospitals, but people are moving, right? I mean, we're a new generation that everybody's traveling. Then you go to the United States, then you go to the UK, and how do you transfer the data from your hospitals to the UK hospital? It's quite complicated now, it cannot happen. Even if we had isolated databases here and there, you know, some people believe that blockchain is only for trading. No, it's not only for trading. Blockchain is infrastructure. And blockchain is a global database that everybody can have access and have a common API. Now if you go, someone is using Oracle databases in one side. Then you go to another place, oh, this is Microsoft here. And then you go somewhere else, oh, I use Google, and then I use Apple, and then I use Amazon. Eventually this has to be resolved, right? The only way that as humanity we have today that is common is the blockchain, nothing else. And we have security patterns. I realized very lately that the cryptography that is created on Web3 is now used by our banks, some cases by our governments, because in this situation, you are getting this data, you are sending it to whatever AI model, you are using some cryptography as well, and you can say, oh, this is a scam. And you know, some of you who are traders, maybe you've been scammed sometime in the past, just because our wallets, unfortunately, are not smart. I cannot imagine the future wallet of the world should be smart, right? Everybody should have a wallet that should be pretty much your agent. They will help you on investments. They will tell you, why are you not staking here? There is higher yield there. Automatically, I will do the transactions for you. As you can see, you can do many, many things. Imagine someone who is doing gaming at the moment, the one before the end. You can also create smarter applications, smarter NFTs now. So you remember some NFTs, they are static. Why we don't use AI so you can evolve them? When you're selling it to another person, it gets all of the information from the reputation of the other party. You can also have some randomness. You can make it smart. You can also do other things, right? You can also have machine learning for writing smart contracts. And this will be huge because practically humans, and I can tell you what happened at Facebook when I left, now you cannot be an engineer if you're not using any AI tool. It's impossible to keep up with the competition. You need to create faster tests, you need to deliver faster and so on. The same is for these languages on the smart contract space. You will also see a few things about auto audits. Robots are going to verify the correctness of the smart contracts and the correctness of your wallet. And at the same time, I can imagine that some AI battles will start. People are now watching soccer and basketball. Don't be surprised if in the future, in the very next few years, you are going to see robots, arenas, robots playing against each other, and you need to play so these robots can be paid. Like you need some economy behind it. So we can imagine that we're going to have robot battles like fighting against each other, but all of this is running with the security of the blockchain with some AI. Now, SUI, the only difference between us, the team that built all of this stuff, and everything else, is it's not only the blockchain itself. In order to have something like Microsoft Windows and Apple and iOS and everything, is you create the full stack. Your computer and all of the other blockchains are typically only the CPU and the RAM. You see there the SUI. But you need a hard disk. And then we had to create something for hard disk. Oh, it's Walrus. And then you needed something to be able to transact even if you don't have internet. So we found ways to have internetless transactions. And so on. We created all of this stack. And do you know why? Because the team that is coming from Facebook, and then Apple, and like 60% of the people coming from the US, Silicon Valley, Apple, I was part of the WhatsApp team that you have end-to-end encryption because of my team. It's because we know how to build this stuff for billions of users. And now gradually from millions to go to billions, you need all of this. And then something that was missing from the blockchain was randomness. Do you think that you can play a game now with verifiability? You can play FIFA soccer or something. How do you know that if you have a race and people are competing between each other, that any random element in the game is correct? Or if you have a game of luck, even chess, if you play with white or black, there is a difference, right? People who play with white have 5% more chances to actually win the game. So we need randomness. It's not only for lotteries. Sometimes it's also for social housing. In Greece, for example, if you are lucky, you might have a house for free. But how do you trust that the game of chance that someone used the lottery was correct and unbiased? Only the blockchain can do it. So it was the first one to have a safe, transparent lottery, and now you can use it on your smart contracts. You can imagine of what you can build now if you have this. The other thing is, as I said before, the blockchains are fast. The problem with speed is you cannot have large files. We had to solve this problem. You cannot expect like half a second finality, and then eventually, if you want to transfer 1 gigabyte of file, or if you want to watch a Netflix documentary, you're expecting half a second. It's impossible. So we had to create something else. And this is why we created Walrus. At the same time, you need also privacy. And then we created another tool, because we said, okay, the blockchain, we said it's a global database, but at the same time, everything is public now. Why would someone know exactly what is my balance? Why would someone know exactly my logic? We had to change that. And also in some situations, it's also very expensive. How can you play FIFA soccer? How can you play a race in the blockchain? It's very expensive, right? You need gigabytes of data. Can you do all of the computations off-chain? Then get the proof, a signature, digital signature, and put it on-chain for the correctness. This is what we did with Nautilus. And now you can also have privacy-preserving tech on top of the blockchain. This is what you can do, by the way, with all of this stuff. DocuSign, Google Docs, Netflix, Airbnb, Wikipedia. For the first time, it is possible to build it on the blockchain. And I can imagine that some of the TikTok, Telegram, GoDaddy, all of this stuff, it is possible today. If you manage to have sub-second finality, now you can actually do miracles. And you're faster than casual programs, casual software. At the same time, we said, okay, there are situations where either the game logic is super, super expensive and people have to do offline, they have to play like Bluetooth against Bluetooth communication, you have to have the speed of the Wi-Fi. What do? We created another tech that is called tunnels. And I can give you an example. If some of you know what happened to Spain, Portugal, and France a month ago where there was a blackout, there was power outage for 1 day, nobody had internet, they couldn't do anything. If you had an option to be able to lock at least $100 in your grocery store, and then at the time of the earthquake, at the time of the blackout, of the natural disaster, you would still be able to go and pay. You don't need internet. This is the technology. And this technology is so fast that you can build a whole game off-chain, and then all of the results will go on-chain. It's called tunnels because you're connecting something from the blockchain to the out world and then go back again. So you play all of the logic there and then you go back. And with privacy, people don't even see what you're doing and you don't want to see it. If we're playing 100 games of chess and we don't want to pay gas for every transaction, imagine every move on the blockchain, it's a transaction. We have to avoid this, and this is a solution to that. Applications, as you can see, I know backgammon is also very popular here. You can do that stuff now. You can play backgammon even if you are playing very quick. All of this stuff, pressing a button. With the wallet experience, this is not possible today. With this thing, it might be, some of you might have ideas for a startup. And this is what we want to inspire in the community, even here in Turkey, right? You can build stuff that you didn't expect it's possible on the blockchain. I cannot imagine. Give me anything that I can tell you now, oh no, this you cannot do it on the blockchain. Today you can do it. And it's only a year ago and after that it's possible. Before that, Bitcoin, you needed 60 minutes. You go to Starbucks and you want to pay, you cannot wait 60 minutes. At the same time, the messages were very short. You needed all of this tech to make it. And then we said, okay, there are situations that people don't have internet at all. You're in the mountain, you're going hiking, something happens. What do? We managed to actually have, for the first time, a backup solution. You don't have 5G? Don't worry. Do you have SMS? Transaction is short. I can send you by SMS. You don't have SMS? Let's see if we can do radio signals. We have frequencies in the world. Let's figure out if there is a hop nearby so you can send a radio signal and then like pretty much a walkie-talkie, you can send transactions by walkie-talkie. We even did whale and dolphin sounds under the water. You can even have fish farms now that can talk to each other without being connected to the satellite. These things are possible today, which is insane. And something that I personally did is I used the blockchain to actually audit the code. And we found some super interesting applications and bug fixes. The most interesting performer is this. Threaten the AI. Whenever you're asking ChatGPT, threaten it. You're fired if you don't give me the answer. And then eventually we realized, wow, this is better than the white hacker that we have in the team. And this is a top 5 performer. Go. After we finish this, forget blockchain. Go and threaten a bit OpenAI and Gemini. It will give you better answers. And these are the findings. If you see some of them, it's $1 million attacks. No human. AI found the attacks. Technically, and some of the things that you see on the internet happening today, it's because for the first time in the history of humanity, we have robots in all of this open source software, and blockchain is open source, searching for vulnerabilities and can find issues. That's why we have more bugs, and then we have to compete with AI. That's why you have to be better at AI if you want to do Web3 as well. This is something that I found. This was literally a meme token that they didn't have a cap on how many coins I have to issue. Someone, like the administrator, can go one day and say, oh, now I want to do 1 billion tokens. And this is actually a finding from an AI thing. That's why I'm telling you, it's completely different on like using AI in Web3 today. Learn AI, please. Eventually, before I go to the last thing, robots are coming. We managed to create for the first time all of the microcontrollers and chipsets being compatible with SUI. You can have, you remember the Boston Dynamic dogs, like the ones that are moving like this? It's possible to connect them on the blockchain now. Imagine all of them actually serving humanity or serving their owner and so on. You can even airdrop because you are having some robots. You can interact with robots. We had the first coffee machine that is talking sui now. You just talk to it and it works. And I can imagine drones and imagine the future of humanity, right? What is the future? Do you know? The drone can have a solar panel. It can eat. It eats light. The drone can have AI on top of this. It can evolve. It can be better. It can be smarter. The drone can even have 3D printing capabilities. Can you imagine that we are very, very close to creating a species, a new species that is artificial now? It can do everything that a human can do. So before we go there, you need a place to protect the security and the data. The blockchain will be that statement. And this is why we're building the APIs now to even stop the AI from being super powerful, at the same time use the AI. And with all of this, thank you so much for participating here. I'm super happy to take any questions around this combination between the two. It's a convergent evolution. Don't forget this thing. It's a statement. Yes, do Web3, learn AI as well. Otherwise, you cannot go more than 1 year later. You will be already off. Thank you.